Hello guys, so here we want to start the sewing process. So before you continue, you must make sure you have this 1-inch elastic. So this elastic is called 1-inch, right? So you can buy 1 yard or half yard, but it's preferable you buy it in roll so that it lasts for you and you use it for many jobs before you start looking for elastic. So you must have this elastic. It's very essential. Now you must make sure that if you're sewing black or any colored outfit, use black elastic. If you're sewing white, use white elastic. So after the elastic, the next you're going to have is your bias. Though this is optional, but I'll encourage you to get used to this and buy bias. It's called trouser bias. It has black color, white, I think navy blue or thereabout. So buy black bias. And then lastly, you have your zip, your big head zip. It's called a big head zip because of this head is big. Don't use the ones that are small. Use the big headed zips. It lasts longer, right? And make sure that before you use any of these tools, you test them, unzip and zip again to make sure that it's very functional. So after the zip, the next you will have is your rope for your jogger's rope. So these are the tools you must have before you proceed with your sewing process. And then let's start the sewing paper. All right, so here once you have gotten to know the tools to use, now the next you will do now is to start fixing your pockets. Now the first process you undergo is to fix the pocket facing to your pocketing. Now bear in mind that this fancy area is meant to be inside, so you bring pocket facing and place this way, just right on the straight part, the straight panel, and then stitch it down right round. So sew it down right round. So this will be a very long video, so make sure you watch the very end and don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to the channel. So here you stitch here down from this point, sew it down all through, sew it down all through. So sew the facing down. Now the reason of this facing is to cover the pocketing, right? I think you should have known this by now, but if you're a first timer, this will also serve you deeply to understand all of this. So here you stitch all through this way. So once you have sewn this, now the next you will do is to attach this to the men trouser bodies. Now the question now here is, how do you attach it, or which one, how do you know the one to attach? I will show you. That's why you are here. So watch keenly, don't fast forward, don't skip. The one you skip might be the one you will miss the vital information. So bring the corresponding panels. Let me bring the panels here, the trouser panels. Now, this pocket facing will not be placed at the same point. Like if you're doing the second one now, for example, let me explain this right here. Since we have fixed this pocket facing on the right side, the second one will be fixed on the left. You get? So the slashes are together here. So don't go and repeat this fixing pocket facing here again. No, it's wrong. Fix it at the inverse, the other side of this, right? So once you have gotten to know this, now you bring the panel. Now the panel you will bring will be the left panel to fix on the pocketing, where that you fix the pocket facing on the right. You get here. So it will be on this part. Like I said, this will be a very long video, but it will be very detailed as well. So this process I am using now is how you also fix your pockets on other related outfits. So here, place this pocketing, the main body, to lap on the pocketing, 1/2 inch inwards, 1/2 inch inside. Then you bring it this way and make sure that it also corresponds half an inch all through here. That's the where you ironed. We lap here half an inch from beginning to the end, just this way. Very important, please, very important. Don't skip this. Then stitch from here. So carefully stitch from here, and then stitch on the angular fold, please, very important. Stitch on the angular folding, not on the after the folding, this way. So gently stitch all through to this very point, then lock the up point, lock here. Now once you have done this, then you cut your threads. So this is what we have. The sewing came after the ironing, right? Very important. Not here, inside. Then fold it backwards this way, and then stitch half an inch or 1/4 rather. Then stitch. Make sure that your hands will be as straight as possible. This is one of the visible areas on trousers, so it should be neat and straight. So this is what you have. See how the stitching came, right? Look at how neat it is. And then you now place this way and lap it on top. Lap it here. So you will have to measure 2.5 inches. Remember that the notching was not at 2.5 at the up point. That's when you were drafting the trouser, right? So here you will measure 2.5 and make sure you are replacing the exact value. Now the reason for the replacement is to make sure that your waist point does not get short or less, right? So most people don't know this. Whatever you notched on the pocket must be replaced with the lining. If not, it will be shorter, and it should not also be bigger. So you stitch all through. Stitch here. So now you cut your threads. Then still on that same point, you just make sure that you align this panel, and then you stitch it down. You stitch it down from here. Sew it down from there. You cut your thread. Just sew half an inch there. Then raise it up this way. Give half inch down, half inch in notching. Just this way. Half inch down, half inch in. And then you will tuck your hand inside. Bring it out this way. Make sure that you properly arrange the pocketing from the wrong side now. Then hold the notched points together. Hold this notch point together. Then start from that notching. Start from the notched point, just like this, and sew. Now the reason for this is to make sure that you have a nicely finished pocket. You can decide to leave it as a curve or as a square, however, or this way. Then trim off some excesses right here. Trim off some excesses right here. And then this is what you have. Then push it in this way. After which, then you make sure you carefully bring out all these edges. These edges must come out nicely. Then you're going to top stitch right round. So bring out the edges properly and then top stitch from here. Top stitch from here. Top stitch all through this way. Top stitch all through this way. And then once you get to that point you notched, then you lock it up from here. This is what it is. Then cut your threads. Cut your threads. So this is what it is. So you will do the same thing I have just done here on the other pocket. This is how you fix your side pockets of your trouser. So this works for every type of outfit that has this type of pocket, both shorts, you know, plain materials and Ankara. It works for every pocket. So we are going to do the second one and we will continue with the sewing process. All right, so here after you have fixed the two pockets, look at them, I have fixed the two side pockets. So the next you do will be to fix your lining. Please, the reason I am showing you all of these procedures or steps is for you to get a clear understanding on how to stitch or make this type of trouser. Bear in mind that the pocket and the lining processes are the same for every type of trouser. It does not really mean it's only this palazzo trouser that you can make in this form, right? So you can use this method as well and make your regular trouser. The difference is just you have to create welt pockets at the back panel. So here I am fixing my lining. So you make sure that you bring the corresponding components of the lining and you place it in this form. Remember what I told you guys on the cutting video for the lining and the reason I gave. So you have to also remember all of that. So just hold the crotch points area first, this point, hold them together first, and then you stitch from there, stitch at the tip. So this sewing here should not be even up to 1/4 of an inch. So it should just be at the tip of the fabric so that when you weave, the weaving will cover it and the sewing should not be visible after sewing the trouser. So hold the trouser panel and join just like this. Join just like this. So after you have fixed your lining, you will go and weave before you start fixing your zip, right? So this is the steps you must understand and you must follow for you to achieve a perfect sewing process. So sew your lining all through this way. So now this video is as clear as possible, right? So I believe you're enjoying it. So don't forget to also please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. So at the center panel, you click the lining here. Now this pleating helps you to get your outfit, your lining properly installed or fixed. Then once you have pleated the lining at that center point, make sure the pleating is enough and it does not change the size of the lining, right? So here it's okay. So I'm using here. So you stitch all through, stitch all through. So once you get to this very point, so this is what you will have. Then stitch down the lining. Now shift your pocketing to go inside. Shift it to go inside. You know, the junk also used to, you know, run around. So just make sure you hold this firmly. Stitch down. Don't stitch on the pocketing, or like shift it so that the thread does not catch it. So this is what you have. So we have fixed our lining. So the next thing you will do now is to go and weave then before you come to start fixing your zip. So this is our lining. Look at how beautiful it is. So I will go and I will fix the second lining. I will go and weave the whole trouser and then come back to show you the continuation of the sewing. So moving forward, after you have weaved all the panels of your outfit, then you are meant to start your zip fixing. So you are going to bring your left panel. You're going to bring your left panel just this way, and then you measure 7 inches or 7.5 for your zip point. So I'm using 7 inches for my client. 7 inches. Measure 7 inches just this way, and then make a notch on that point, 7 inches notch this way, and bring one of the flaps, place it down from here, make the flap to be ½ inch longer, place it on the weaved part just like this. Still make sure you mark the chalk on the point you had your notch. Then start from that notched point, that notching point this way, and start from there to stitch down. So sew it down, double stitch, and then sew all through this way. So you will gently do this, stitch all along that line. So after you have sewn on that line, you cut your threads. Now I shouldn't have been showing this, but I just want to show it for us to see, in case some of us might not have seen or learned how to do this, maybe in this particular order. Then you top stitch on the flap. Now you're going to top stitch on the part of the flap, not on the trouser body, right? So just place it in this form, and then start from here and top stitch. Start from there and top stitch. Make sure that it's exactly at the point where you have your flap fixed. Top stitch at that point. Top stitch at that point. So once you have top stitched there, this is very important to the top stitching. You can't skip it, so that your zip will relax and lap properly. Look at the top stitching. See how neat it is, right? And then you bring your zip. You bring your zip, face it down, face the zip head down, the zip track down, then place it ½ inch below the waistline, and it will lap on that top stitch edge just this way, and then stitch on the other edge. Stitch this other edge just from here. So stitch at the tip. So make sure that the zip is properly placed. Stitch at the tip all through to the very end. Cut your threads. Cut your threads. Cut your threads. And then you open it up just this way. Then you bring your other flap, fold into two, run it across the machine body this way. That folded edge, this edge, will be placed inwards towards the zip region, just like this. Make sure that the both flaps are equal here. The flap is what you're looking at. So, and it will lap at the tip of the zip. Then you now sew it down from this edge. Sew it down from this edge. Sew it down from this edge. So once you have sewn it all through that way, cut your threads, and then bring the right panel of your trouser. Then don't forget to also notch the same 7 inches notched at the beginning where when you were making the other one. So 7 inches was what we notched. So notch 7 inches again. The notching should just be 1/4 of an inch, and then place it in this form where the waistline here will match and not the flap now. Bam, and the flap was longer intentionally. So now you make sure that this other flap is equal, this other panel is equal with the other panel. Then lap it this way, hold it properly. Then you make sure you hold it this way. Just hold it this way, and then stitch from that 7 inches notch. From that same point where you notch 7 inches, start from there and stitch. So carefully you stitch all through. Stitch all through to the very end. So once you are done doing this, you cut your thread. You cut your thread as well, and then make sure that this is how it will look like, right? Everything will come out in this form, just this way. And the next you will do now is to lock the crotch region, this crotch point. You will lock the crotch point. Just hold it together this way, and then from that notch point, that notch, right? Start from there. Hold the flap this way. From that notched point, just like this, hold the panel to make sure that it's relaxing properly. Then start from that notched line this way and pin your needle. Arrange the trouser bodies properly. Make sure that the crotch points are corresponding, just like this. And then you stitch. You stitch. Now it's advisable that you stitch there twice, like this area twice, so that it will reinforce the trouser to be stronger. But then if you don't want to do it twice, you can tighten the machine stitch length, so this is what it looks like. Then you hold it this way, and then make sure that everything is balanced. Then hold it this way and make a 1.5 or 1.1 1/4 inch mark curve this way. So this here now you will measure 1/4 or 1.5 maximum, 1.5 maximum. So just drop chalks on it. That chalk will serve as a guide. You must not really draw like mark it, just drop chalk, then note the end point just this way. So now you unzip, and then you stitch down. You stitch down. Make sure that this area is lapping at the tip, at the top stitch point, right? So you unzip, and then you align it very well. Then you stitch. So once you get to this point, this is what you'll be having. So make sure you remove the flap underneath and stitch. Then once you want to get to that point, you lock the zip, still removing the flap this way. Then start from like 1.5 inch higher and start making a curve. Then at this point, you can now replace the flap, like the flap under. You put it back, just this way. Make sure that your hands are being spreaded across the trouser fabric. Then carefully you curve all through to that same point that you're notching and then double thread. Then this is what you have. Then at this point, the next thing you are going to do now is to fix the band of the front panel. Remember that the back panel was raised, and I told us that we don't need to put the band right round. It should just be on the front panel. The band of the back panel was cut together with the back panel. So now let's start with the band. So now we want to know where the ropes will come out from. Now these ropes, we have to create a space on the band that the rope will come out from. So you now decide on what you want to have. I want the rope to come out from, let's say, 4 inches apart from the center panel, or 3 inches apart. So from the center zip, okay, let's do it at 2.5 inch apart, so that it should be close, or even 2 inches apart itself is even better, so that it should be close enough, right? So that it won't be too far. So from the center of the zip, you mark 2 inches here. You mark 2 inches here. From the center as well, here, you mark 2 inches. So this is like a guideline, so that the rope will be close, not too far, not too close as well. It will be a bit close, right? Then you bring the band. Now remember that the band, I told us that you gum it together, like make it to be one single gumming, so that it will be easier for you to work with. Then this time now, you now slit it. You see that the band is enough, right? It's more than enough. So you fold into 2 equal parts, you now slit. You now slit it this way. Now the reason for the slitting is to enable you have 2 bands here that are equal. Then after the slitting, the next you will do is to start fixing it on each of these panels. Now bear in mind that you also create holes at this point. So now we want to create a hole. So you just place the band this way, making sure that the band is extended on both ends, right? Where you will use to lock here and also create a space at this other edge. So once you have gotten the point where the hole will be created, then you are going to fold it this way. Remember that the hole will be created on the gum part. So you open it up this way, and then on that point that you mark your chalk, you just fold it this way, and then you stitch it down like 1/4 inch or 3/4 inch in. You stitch it down, and when you get to the midpoint of this band, the one that you gummed, mark like 1/2 inch at the midpoint where the rope will come out from, right? And then once you stitch and get to that first mark, you double thread it, you double stitch, and then skip that 1/2 inch and continue your stitching. So this will help you create a perfect hole for your rope to come out from, or come out. Cut out this, cut out this, cut out this, cut out this, cut off the threads, then make a slit it, that point, slit it. Then after slitting, you now lock it down, open it this way, and sew it down. So the reason for this stitching it down is for easier handling when you are fixing your rope, so that it doesn't obstruct the rope entering properly. So you hold it through this way, hold it through this way, go all the way to this point, and then after this you end it up properly this way. So this is how you will create that hole that you are looking for. Look at the hole, right? Now this hole will be where the rope will come out from, as little as it may be, but as important as it is as well. Look at the rope can come out from here. You get fine. So you do the same thing you did here on the other band, and then you now make sure that when fixing, you correspond that opening to that same point where you did your chocking, so that the rope will come out from that same point. So I will do that and show you the results.